So to me, like AI and really, all of the innovation we've seen over the last year, 2 years is like such a great example of like a double-edged sword where it's like, and I'm thinking for law firms specifically, right? There's all of this productivity, efficiency, accuracy, like all of these productivity gains like you've described. And we've leaned into it too, as a marketing agency, we've leaned into it probably in different ways, but big fan of the efficiencies and all of these, everything that AI provides. But I think one example on the flip side of this is, we're hearing from law firms all the time, especially in like estate planning, for example, in business law, of lawyers that are now they're losing clients that would have needed to hire them to draft a contract, but now they're like, I can do it on Chat GPT. So do you see any of that? And maybe that's less of a thing in PI, but basically it's like, man, tools like Chat GPT have made it faster and cheaper than ever to quote unquote draft legal documents, and we are starting to see that and hear that from some clients. So I have some thoughts on that, and we obviously have some advice that we share with our clients, but I am curious if you're seeing that, if you're anyone in your group is seeing that, and how you feel about that conversation.
So I have worried about estate planning attorneys specifically, or anything that's like trademark, like anything that's like can be very standardized. I've worried about any of those niches for a while, and I have been a little surprised by how many have not been concerned. So I will say that I'm also not the alarmist type. So I think that a lot of this can be it's to our benefit. So if I were like an estate planning attorney, I would probably focus on higher end clients because they're not going to be the ones that are using AI. The lower level ones are going to be the ones the lower paying is what I mean by that. Lower paying clients are going to be the ones that are going to be using AI. So I would try to worry less about that. That being said, I do all. I mean, there's lots of attorneys I know that have the I would call the lower paying matter types that are doing just fine or doing really, really well. So I think there's some, but because I think part of that, and I'll answer the question with the PI in a second. I think part of that is I think that the general public does not know the freight train that's about to run over them. I really don't. I think that is, I go to family dinners and all that, and no one's talking about AI. I bring it up and they're like, I'm talking about aliens or something. And it is, the wildest thing. It is crazy to me to think that they're really not thinking about it. I think some people that are older, they're also like, oh, by the time this hits, I'm gonna be just fine. I don't know if that's the case. Now, when it comes to PI, I've not noticed it. I've not noticed a significant difference. It is funny. I've spoken to opposing counsel, and they're like, "Yeah, we'll be dealing with pro se," and like you can tell they're sending us this, Chat GPT generated, demand letter and all these kinds of things. Because I do think the PI field has a little bit of a fence built around it, and I don't know if it's going to stay a strong fence or if it's going to be weakened over time. It'll probably be weakened over time, but right now, like an insurance adjuster knows, okay, they send a demand. They deal with people without attorneys all the time, okay, and they're not going to adjust the amounts that they're going to pay simply based on a Chat GPT generated demand. They're not, because the okay, let's say that they file a lawsuit. Oh, good luck with the rules of evidence and Chat GPT getting that accurate. May it get it accurate at some point? Sure. But I mean, you can't be in the middle of a depot. You can't be in the middle of a trial referencing Chat GPT whenever you're needing to make objections. So I think that there is a bit of a moat, a bit of a fence around this space, because they're not going to be, the insurance adjusters are not going to offer more money because with a pro se, based on this Chat GPT generated demand, because there's no risk of them actually filing a lawsuit and being successful with it. So um, I think that's as of right now. Like I said, that could change, but I don't see it changing when it comes to the court system. The court system has been very resistant to AI, as you've probably seen. There are attorneys getting hammered every single day for putting um, fake AI cases into their pleadings, which is crazy at this point. Like we even have at this point, we have a procedure where we double check every case with a human goes and double checks everything that's been generated just to make sure. And that's what you have to do at this point, because I'm terrified of that happening. But so I think PI is fairly safe for now. Criminal defense is going to be safe for now. You're going to have family law safe for now. That being said, I think there are the standardized ones that are going to be a little
Yeah.
trickier.
Well, and one of the things, like, I believe philosophically is like, listen, you're not going to beat Chat GPT on speed on price, right? It's as fast and as cheap as it gets. And to your point, so you need to aim for that clientele that's values, your expertise, your experience, the experience your firm creates. And just, don't try to win the fast and cheap game, because at this point, like it's really just it's impossible to beat. It's impossible to win that game.